Humans have been under a form of mind control where our consciousness has been trapped into a five-sense state of perception where we only believe something if we can see it or if we've experienced it. All we really have is our stories, and we can share them with each other, right? The most powerful weapon on this planet is your voice, right? Is your tongue. Your ability to shape words. Words are swords. They can cut through bullshit, right? But they can also distort reality. They can do all sorts, right? Did you know that you are a magician? And spirituality is not just about the airy-fairy stuff, and all this, talking about aliens and all this sort of stuff. It's also about staying grounded and understanding the actual reality that you live in. But the actual reality that you live in isn't just what you can perceive with your five senses. And many people that are going through a spiritual awakening and starting to question everything and starting to decode a wider perception of reality, they're starting to experience things like sleep paralysis, and yes, even the Archons, extraterrestrial beings or extra-dimensional beings. And no one out there is talking about it when the Archons are the root cause of all the problems you see on the planet, because they are behind all the manipulation and the brainwashing. So today, I'm going to speak with a little bit of courage. I'm going to share my stories, and we're going to go into sleep paralysis and how the Archons attack whilst you're asleep. Many people can't explain their sleep paralysis. They don't know what's going on. So you're going to need to be a warrior if you are a truth seeker. When you stand in your truth, and you know the truth, and you know yourself, you're going to attract these entities. And it's actually part of the game of life. I say that Earth is Earth School, or the spiritual university. You're here to go through certain lessons. You're here to grow. And guess what? There's no growth in the comfort zone. And the Archons represent the dark side of the source, right? We all come from the same place, don't we? We call it source, religion might call it God. And we're here on planet Earth. I call planet Earth the planned net for your soul. The biological computer, right? It's the planned net. You are the one in there with the little joystick, making the decisions. And as human beings, we have retained many of the divine attributes of the source. We have free will, and we retain a lot of light, a lot of superpowers, and humanity is becoming a lot more aware of themselves right now. We're in what they call the age of Aquarius, and we are in the information age, right? Everyone's trading information with the internet, right? And everyone's starting to see synchronicities. Everyone's starting to gain new information, and there's becoming even a split in the dimension, if you will, if you want to go into that side of things. Even if you only see reality on a surface-based level, as you look around, so many people are falling further and further into the brainwashing and the victim mentality. And then there's many of us that are starting to build our courage because we will not allow tyranny to rule our lives. And what is behind the tyranny? It opens up our inner knowing, and ultimately we all know the truth. We all have an innate knowing of what's going on the planet. We get lost in the experience of life, and then we go through the experience of trying to find ourselves again. The Archons represent the dark side. People get so scared to talk about the Archons and extraterrestrials. Really, they have always been the problem, and they want to make out that we're the problem, right? They want to turn us against ourselves. They want to make, on dissolving the ego, they make out that it's the ego that is the bad thing, right? That came from the Archons and their deception. They want to turn you against yourselves. Look, climate change, look what you're doing to the bloody planet, right? And yeah, we do need to wake up and change our ways, but there's many deceptions within that I can't go into on YouTube. Exactly, isn't that another red flag? And there are many, many deceptions out there, and even in many of the religions, we've come into a state of victim mentality. We're always waiting for a savior, but all of this is ultimately teaching us that we need to take our power back, because when you rely on someone else to save you, then you experience, oh yeah, wait, they didn't come save me, great, and then you experience the chaos that brings when you externalize your power. And humanity right now is learning how to take their power back. And so, without further ado, if you are on the spiritual path, you're learning about yourself, you're learning about the world, just relax, you're on the right path, that's what it's all about. If you're not doing that, then I don't know what you're doing on Earth, right? And I know it's not an easy game, right? You've got to look after your children, you've got to look after your livelihoods. But if you are seeking answers, then you're on a quest, you're asking questions, so you're on a quest, right? And along this journey, you're going to start to come across many delusions, because first of all you need to find out what isn't true, so then ultimately you can see through that deception. And that's why 2020 was really good, and we've been speaking about it even here, how 2020 was supposed to give us 2020 vision. 2020 is right up to 2030, because it's still 2021, right? 2022, right? And so we're gaining vision in these 10 years, and right now we have obviously COVID and all that, right? And many people are starting to see through the lies. Many people are still falling for it. But ultimately what has happened is that we now see with our eyes the deception, whereas before it was all a bloody conspiracy theory, wasn't it? The biggest conspiracy on this planet is the one where people believe the government actually care about them. So what was once hidden is now coming to the light, and you can see it everywhere you go. You're starting to see more clearly now. You're starting to have many realizations, and people are starting to think for themselves, right? And you've got to surpass all your mentors, right? Now, when you start to take your power back, right, in the physical reality as well, you know, I don't acquiesce with my own enslavement, right? And I don't spread delusion into everyone else's mind by acquiescing with my own enslavement. And what this does is it builds confidence, right? Every time you're confident and you stand your ground because you know the truth, you stand in the truth, you know your own rights, right? So you're doing what's right, right? So when you do that, it's like a muscle, right? You build it, you get more confident, you get stronger. And every time you don't do that, you get weaker. And this is creating a split in society, right? But also in the dimensions. Because visible light is only a tiny band of frequency, right? Humans are basically blind. And what's really happening is we live in an illusory sort of world, right? So you think you're walking to the shop, but time and space is actually an illusion. And it's only not an illusion to the physical body, right? The so-called physical body. So in the physical realm, yeah, you've got to actually walk around and do things. But in the spiritual realm, or the realms beyond the naked eye, this is where the Archons exist. And this is the same dimensions that we actually experience when we're sleeping. And I promised you that I was going to talk about dreams and stuff, so here we are. Now, the Archons, they don't like the fact that we're waking up because we are food to them. And the more we wake up, the more powerful we become, and then they will have no more nourishment here. So then, therefore, they will leave, right? They'll have to leave. So the only way we get rid of all the deception on the planet and heal humanity is when humanity takes their power back and they know their rights and they don't acquiesce. Because the real workers on the front line are the ones that are experiencing a direct battle with the Archons, right? And those of you that are experiencing even battles in the physical plane, right? Many people are protesting right now, right? And the Matrix is always trying to tell you something. Many people are fighting on the streets with protests, you know, they're standing up for their rights is what I mean. But many people are fighting in the dream realm, in the astral world, if you will. And this is what I want to talk about today, to help you to be a warrior, even when you're sleeping, right? And so what happens is, because, like I said, there's a structure in society, and at the top of the structure, at the top of the pyramid, if you will, the humanity is at the bottom, and then it's imposition acquiescence all the way down. You know, you've got, you know, people that work, and then they are forced to push the rules on the people below them, and then there's people above them. You've got the military and the police, and then you've got the governments, and ultimately violence. And then at the top you've got obviously you've got secret societies, and then you've got the satanic priest class, which are like ancient psychologists, and they put their information down the pyramid until humanity is manipulated at the bottom. But they get a lot of their information from the Archons, the unseen realms, and they do their satanic rituals. Now, many people talk about ayahuasca, right, and psychedelics, plant medicines, and how even shamans use these plant medicines to speak to higher beings, and they even can communicate with the Archons, because these medicines, just like knowledge, they are neutral, right? You can use them for good or bad, right? Good or evil. And obviously that's the same with spirituality. That's why I've got a video called Spirituality Without Morality is Satanism, right? Now, the satanic priest class, they interact with these dimensions, you know, and these Archons. They're basically selling their souls in the process, and they need to go through an awakening also and remember who they are. And there's many ways in which what they do, and they interact. You know, they sacrifice spirits to these Archons, you know, by sacrificing like a snake or something, and then the Archon can use the spirit of that animal that was sacrificed, or even a human being, depending on what sort of ritual they're doing, and then they can send the Archons directly to people like us who are actually awake. So you need to know how to defend yourself, and you need to know how to spot these astral parasites so that you can be aware of it. So many people have experienced sleep paralysis. So you're laying on your bed and you've been asleep all night, and you wake up and you're sort of in and out. You're in a dream and you're also in this reality, and you can't really decipher, am I dreaming or not? And you feel like you're paralyzed, you can't move, you're just stuck. Maybe most of the time anyway, you've had some sort of nightmare. And this actually happened to me recently, and it's happened to me loads of times. It's sort of getting a bit old now.